Representative Jeff Van Drew, who is a Republican from New Jersey, was just on the air saying that Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones, and that mothership is off the coast of the east coast of the United States. Is there any truth to that?
There is not any truth to that. There is no Iranian ship off the coast of the United States, and there's no so-called mothership launching drones towards the United States.
But we're not going to tell you where hundreds of drones may have come from. We'll just tell you they're not from the U.S. military or the U.S. government, and they're not from any foreign entity, and they're certainly not from any Iranian mothership off of the East Coast. Now, the menu of available options after you eliminate the U.S. military, and again, a mayor in the state of New Jersey saying there were 60, dozens, scores of drones hovering over a reservoir from which drinking water comes that goes to people's homes. And the Pentagon is like, yeah, well, we don't care. Local law enforcement are looking at that. Maybe you should talk to local law enforcement. How many drones are allowed to fly in from the ocean to New Jersey and to hover over critical infrastructure, military bases, President Trump's Bedminster golf course and club, over reservoirs from which drinking water comes? How many exactly? What's the right number? Sabrina Singh, the spokesmodel for the Pentagon yesterday, deputy press secretary at the Pentagon, never heard of her. But she says these are not U.S. military drones. Again, it's being investigated by local law enforcement. You've got scores of drones coming in, according to multiple reports, from over the Atlantic Ocean, which is a big body of water, and hovering all over the place. And then we just had a nice call from a woman in Maryland, and she and her daughters saw 30 drones last night. They counted approximately 30 drones hovering and darting all over the place, she said, jetting all over the place, going this direction and that direction, and very close to an electrical substation, right? And remarkable stuff. This is going on. And we have a government that just scoffs at you like you're peddling a conspiracy theory or something while not giving you any additional information. Hey, Sabrina Singh, how many trillions of dollars do you need before you can say we're scores of giant drones the size of automobiles, the size of SUVs, the size of little school buses? Maybe there are little school buses that have just taken flight. Maybe that's a remarkable thing. Just amazing stuff. And the governor of the state of New Jersey was asked about this because Congressman Jeff Van Drew said that Iran has a mothership that they launched, and the mothership is capable of carrying a great many drones and launching these drones. They might be using them, with the Houthis in conjunction with radical Islamic terror groups, who knows. And if Congressman Jeff Van Drew is wrong, and they're saying that he's wrong, then explain to me where all these drones come from. Not from the U.S. military. And if it's not the U.S. military, scores and scores of drones the size of school buses flying. How does a drone that size just fly all over the place? And how do dozens of them, is there a company? Is this like the beginning of, maybe it's Elon Musk and he's launching his new drone business or something? But it doesn't make any sense at all, of course. And again, Republican Congressman Jeff Van Drew from New Jersey saying these drones, it's time. It's been about 4 weeks now. And where were they 4 weeks ago? That's pretty amazing. Isn't that amazing? Yes, sir. Also, I got to update you on the FBI director announcing that he's going to resign his position before President Trump takes office. And President Trump should arrange for a pre-dawn raid of his home the next day with battering rams and stage some photos with classified cover sheets, which they should bring with them, just like Christopher Wray's FBI did when they raided Mar-a-Lago, President Trump's home in Florida. But never mind that. All right, let's, and I want to get to that a little bit later on as well, because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. And Elton John, remember Elton John, he's Rocket Man, not Little Rocket Man, because that's Kim Jong-un, but the original Rocket Man, Elton John, on the legalization of marijuana. He has strong opinions about the legalization of marijuana. Fascinating. And the Babylon Bee, a funny outlet online, being fact-checked by the Reuters news agency because they posted a funny story and it's satire, and the corrupt, stupid, ignorant, anti-comedy fake news organization, Reuters news agency, they decided to fact-check the Babylon Bee as though the Babylon Bee were the New York Times. Kind of a remarkable thing, I've got to say. And an update on the number of people massacred in Haiti because of voodoo. Kind of amazing. And the New York Times has a story on the voodoo massacre in Haiti. But just don't say they eat cats in Ohio, because they massacre people by the scores and the hundreds in Haiti over voodoo. But never mind that. And Elizabeth Warren seems to endorse the idea of murdering and assassinating CEOs because she's a Democrat. Also, I got to get to the Pete Hegseth story because this fake journalistic outlet, ProPublica, attempting to smear him, and they've been humiliated and disgraced, but they're incapable of shame, so it has no effect whatsoever. Now let's get back to all the things flying over the state of New Jersey, and again, apparently Maryland as well. And perhaps more. Is the East Coast being invaded, being surveilled? Where are these flying instruments coming from, these vehicles, airborne vehicles? And why do the Democrats in our government seem to be completely unconcerned, even though they say it's got nothing to do with the U.S. government, the U.S. military at least, and who else would it be? Pete Buttigieg in the Department of Transportation with an air force of drones. If it's not the Pentagon, and the Pentagon doesn't know anything about it, and they say they don't, the problem is Sabrina Singh is not the burning bush of truth, and there's no reason that we should take her word for anything in particular. But let's go to the Democrat mayor of the state of New Jersey. His name is Phil Murphy. Phil Murphy is not someone, he is smug and arrogant and not to be trusted either. But let's go to Phil Murphy at soundbite number 4, numero cuatro, as the Democrat Party likes to say. Isn't that amazing? Here's Democrat New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy talking to WNYC.
There was a wild assertion by Congressman Van Drew today about Iran with a big boat off of
a mothership.
Whatever
that means.
Come on, man.
Whatever that means.
The Department of Defense said there's zero evidence to that effect. FBI said zero evidence. I'm not sure what he's been watching lately, but he might want to watch the news.
Now, he's arrogant, smug, petulant, disputatious, unlikable, and the idiot at WNYC. Yeah, he's a Republican. That's you can. Yeah, it's not true because the FBI said so. And if you can't trust sneering Christopher Wray, who can you? And Sabrina Singh, as everybody knows, is the most trustworthy person in America. Nobody's ever heard of her. Nobody could pick her out of a lineup. But she said so from the Pentagon podium. And if you can't believe the military-industrial complex and their spokesmodels, who can you believe? Isn't that amazing? So the arrogant, smug, this dismissal, this wild, mothership, whatever that is. You're unfamiliar with the terminology? You're a journalist at WNYC in New York City, and the term mothership throws you for a loop. But hundreds of giant drones flying over New Jersey for a month doesn't raise an eyebrow with you? Isn't that amazing? Yeah, big boat. Yeah, big boats are called ships, Phil Murphy. Just saying, the mothership, whatever that is, zero evidence. All right, well, there's a lot of evidence of something. Can you explain it? And the fake reporter, who's a charlatan, whatever her name is, not quizzing Phil Murphy, but just trying to attack, Van Drew's a Republican. So, tooey. Yeah, and she doesn't ask the obvious questions. If she had 2 brain cells and a 1-digit IQ, she'd be able to come up with, then what are they? You can't explain what they are? Governor Murphy.
I want folks out there to know we're not, listen, you're frustrated, so are we. I promise you this is our top priority.
Yeah, well then explain it. You're fired, all right? Again, FBI pre-dawn raid, battering ram, CNN camera crew across the street. Time to go get Governor Murphy. They're all such paranoids. I want to encourage their paranoia. It's revenge for what? You people. Amazing stuff. Yeah, it's your top priority. We just don't know what they are, where they're coming from. We'll tell you they're not U.S. government. They're not foreign government. They're not hostile. But we're not going to tell you anything else. And these people that call themselves journalists sit there with their heads wedged into their own dark and remote locations. They're not even doing a conga line. They're doing it's like a one-person conga line. Isn't that amazing? Amazing stuff. There is a state representative, a state assemblyman by the name of Brian Bergen. And Brian Bergen had something to say.
I just sat through an hour and 15 long minute briefing / question and answer period. It was the most amateur hour assessment of what's happening here in the state of New Jersey that I've ever seen. They don't know anything. The briefing I just sat through was a disgrace. It was an insult to our legislatures, and I've never been through a more amateur hour briefing in my entire life.
Brian Bergen, a state assemblyman who had sat in on the briefing at state police headquarters yesterday, and he's not impressed with what he's getting. Sat through an hour and a half briefing, amateur hour, disgrace, insult. And, those aren't positive descriptors. Amazing stuff. New York State Senator Michael Testa was asked about it. And listen to what he's hearing about what the people of New Jersey are seeing.
The only description I can give is one of my constituents said he was driving his Ford F-150, looked up and saw a drone, and the drone was about the same size as his pickup truck.
Same size as his pickup truck. He's driving, and it's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You know, when Richard Dryface is driving along, and the whole heavily lit up thing comes up behind him. You'd think it's a police car. And then it elevates and flies over him. So this guy's driving along. He's got a pickup truck, so he's a common sense guy. He's a regular person, and probably not a Democrat. And by the way, the New Jersey State Senator Michael Testa is also a Republican. Brian Bergen, a Republican. And dude is in his his F-150 pickup truck, and he says this thing flying right over his head is the same size as his pickup truck. Now, we see drones. We see them at football games. You see them, you see them, but they're usually about the size of your kid's drone. You can take them with two hands and lift them up and toss them in the air, and they fly away, and they might have cameras and do all kinds of fancy stuff and don't cost too much. But we're talking about drones the size of pickup trucks that people are seeing, the size others described as a small school bus, others describing them as being the size of SUVs. And so these all go together well, and we have these fatuous, dim-witted government officials who just have nothing to offer in the way of adult guidance or anything else. Isn't that amazing? Just remarkable stuff. But pay no attention, and now we're getting calls from people seeing them over Maryland and beyond. Just saw something on the big board here from the callers that made me laugh. That's funny. I got to tell you, seeing drones where you are? Is it time to, maybe think that our multi-trillion-dollar-a-year government should be doing something, or at least saying something, rather than being smug and arrogant like Democrat Governor Phil Murphy in New Jersey? Honestly. Womp, womp, womp. This Christmas, which is coming up fast, we, of course, celebrate the gift of life. And you have an opportunity right now to share that same gift, the gift of life, with a mother and her baby. A mother with child. Imagine a young woman facing an unplanned pregnancy. It happens all the time, feeling all alone and unsure what to do. That happens. She's searching for hope, and that's where preborn ministries come in. Kelsey found herself in an unplanned pregnancy, and like most women in this situation, she was scared, unsure of what to do, and by the grace of God, Kelsey and her partner found a preborn network clinic from the very moment that they walked in, they were overwhelmed by the love, the politeness, the courtesy, the warmth that introduced her to her unborn baby by way of a sonogram. Hey, look at the little fella in there. Once they heard the heartbeat and saw the little fella in there, they cried and they chose life instead of the opposite, you know. She is now so thankful for her beautiful son who brings her such great joy in life. This Christmas, for just $28 American dollars, you can help save a human life. And thanks to the matching grant, a special matching grant right now, your gift will be doubled by preborn. To donate, all you have to do is dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby when prompted. That's dialing pound 250 and the keyword is baby. Or you can go to Al Gore's amazing internet to preborn.com/plant. That's me. Preborn.com/PLANTE. Thank you. Yes, sir. Yeah, so this is a new one. This is not a story you hear about every day or that you cover every day. What say you? We've got more on this and a lot more crazy Democrat hijinks coming up as well. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. Now, in addition to all of the drone activity in New Jersey, the size of F-150 pickup trucks and SUVs and little school buses, 60 of them over a reservoir, according to a mayor in New Jersey. Just got a call from Susan in Charles County, Maryland, said that she and her daughter saw about 30 of them hovering, 30 drones. News 4 in Washington, the NBC News local station, reporting on activity not just in Charles County in Maryland, but in Prince George's County as well.
There's a drone. They're all over. You're supposed to report him to the FBI.
We see at least 3 to 5 different drones in the sky. I was shocked. My mouth dropped.
These videos were captured by Autumn Stasuli on Monday night outside her Bowie, Maryland home.
It had green lights. And it's red. And now it's red.
The discovery came moments after Autumn says she and her sister were talking about another pair of drone sightings in New Jersey.
Green lights and now they're red. Normally, aircraft in the United States and ships have you've got a green light on one wingtip and a red light on one wingtip, and ships and boats have a green light port side and red light port side and green light starboard side, and you can tell which way they're going based on the lights. So space aliens, are they following international aviation rules? The Pentagon says it's not them and it's not a foreign entity. And by the way, Charles County is next door to Calvert County in Maryland, where our friend Susan and her daughter saw 30 drones flying together-ish. There's a nuclear power plant. All right, Calvert Cliffs nuclear power plant nearby, right along the Chesapeake Bay.
While lawmakers say better oversight is needed.
I think it's going to be important for the federal government as well as state and local governments to take a look at what sort of protections we need to put in place to protect, regular citizens.
As for Autumn, she, like others, would like to know what's flying up above.
You don't know who is controlling them, who's sending them out here. Are they coming from another country?
Yes, the first soundbite was Democrat Congressman Glenn Ivey from Maryland. Again, that started in New Jersey. Now we're hearing Maryland, and I know that my mothership, since these idiot reporters in New York don't know what the term mothership means, my mothership radio station is WMAL in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. From here, I broadcast to the entire galaxy, around the planet, thanks to Al Gore and his amazing internet, peace be upon him, and people listening all over the world on the WMAL, the Chris Plant app, you find, and, right, But amazing stuff here, because we're hearing at WMAL, people are seeing clusters of these flying objects in Virginia. We're hearing from people seeing clusters of flying objects in Maryland. This all started with clusters of flying objects over New Jersey. We have a Pentagon briefer yesterday, spokesmodel, who said these are not U.S. military, and presumably that would cover the U.S. intelligence community as well. But where are these swarms coming from? Susan and her daughter in Charles County, Maryland, said they saw about 30 drones hovering near them. Charles County, again, is next door to Calvert County. Calvert County is home to the Calvert Cliffs nuclear power plant. And there's Virginia. We've got the Pentagon. We've got the CIA. We've got, in Maryland, the National Security Agency, close to Washington, D.C. We have all these sensitive places. And, you know, why don't we have U.S. Army and Marine Corps and Navy helicopters up there, gunships, popping these things? Why haven't they called on Elon Musk to build this week a spacecraft that would, an aircraft that would go up and grab these things out of the air? Isn't that amazing? Now, again, local channel, we have one more from local Channel 4. No, we don't have one more from local Channel 4. But local Channel 4 covering it because people are seeing these things all around the Washington metropolitan area, and it's kind of a big deal. This is one of the most unusual stories I've ever seen, and I've been paying attention since I was a small child. Nobody's ever seen this before. This is a never-before-seen scenario, and it is reminiscent of Orson Welles' 1938 epic and famous and notorious radio broadcast, The War of the Worlds. And it comes on the heels of congressional hearings where U.S. military pilots have come in and talked about the things they see flying around in the sky that they cannot explain, that are going east to west at Mach 6 and then turn on a dime and go from south to north at Mach 6. It's a crazy story, I've got to say. And we have government officials that are scoffing at you, and fake news media at the Pentagon and beyond, who are not asking the appropriate questions, the right questions. You've got Democrat Governor Phil Murphy in New Jersey who's saying, you know, these are just wild assertions that there's a ship offshore that belongs to Iran that is a mothership for drones. It's not there. Well, then explain all the drones. They're not. The U.S. government, you'd ask the Pentagon. And if the Pentagon says they're not ours, I assume that they would take it upon themselves to refer us to the CIA if they're U.S. intelligence drones or not. But this is the U.S. government as what, terrorists? I don't know what they are, but it's pretty amazing stuff. Yes, sir. I got to update you on Luigi, the CEO killer, too. Hey, Luigi. Reminds me of Ragin' Rudolph. Remember Ragin' Rudolph? It was a Mad TV skit many years ago. It was kind of a combination of Ragin' Bull about Jake LaMotta and Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it was full of funny stuff. Hey, Luigi, what do you do? What do you say? Oh, what's the matter you? You got no respect. I bet I'll give you an update on that, too. And in the meantime, let's go to, let's see. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Scott, calling from the great state of Kansas. Scott, you are on the Chris Plante Show.
What's up, Christopher? How are you?
I'm very well. What do you know? What do you say, huh?
Well, I like this real quick. Number one, don't we have satellites that can basically picture me picking my nose in my truck in my garage?
Yes.
Number two, don't we have a Coast Guard?
We do. There was a story. Jeff Van Drew. Oh no, it was a state senator, a state politician in New Jersey, said a Coast Guard boat was followed in from out on the Atlantic Ocean, followed into the shore by a swarm of drones that shadowed the Coast Guard boat, and the Coast Guard boat reported being shadowed by all these drones. But yes, the answer to the question is yes.
Okay, and lastly, doesn't Phil Murphy, as the governor, have control over the New Jersey National Guard?
Yes, he does. Absolutely.
I think our National Guard here in Kansas have access to F-16s.
And Washington, D.C., the D.C. Air National Guard has F-16s.
And my last question would be, what do you think the penalty would be? Because here in Kansas, we have guns.
Yeah.
What do you think the penalty would be to shoot one of those bad boys down?
Illegal. It would be illegal. I know this because there was a video, police body cam video that came out about a week ago that was hilarious, and I made mention of it yesterday or the day before on the radio. But a retired man, at his home, and there's a crazy drone hovering right over his house, his property, and it was there for a long, long time, a big, loud, noisy drone. He went outside with a pistol, a .45 caliber pistol, and he fired one shot in the air, and he says he thought he hit it, but a neighbor complained, and the police came, and they arrested the man. So, well, you can't just be shooting in the air. You can't do that. And he was a funny guy. They were putting the handcuffs on him. And he, again, a retired man, and he was being very cooperative. And when they were putting the handcuffs on him, he said, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And he started laughing.
Yeah.
It was very funny. But they were arresting him.
I have an over and under shotgun, and I'm changing my choke tubes and getting some 3.5-inch shells and come to Kansas.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, I mentioned that yesterday. I said if you a swarm of drones over Montana and Wyoming, I think might be shot down lickety-split.
Yeah, it'd be like bird hunting without killing anything.
Right, yeah, kind of fun, huh? And, also we have electromagnetic pulse weapons, and we could short out the electrical circuitry in these drones flying overhead. We have, of course, you mentioned F-16s. It might be if they're overpopulated areas, you might not want that. But helicopter gunships belonging to the Army and the Marine Corps and the Navy in particular, they could go up and, pop 2 rounds through these things. One little flick of the thumb and pop, these things will drop to the ground. And you do them over forests or over the beach or over the ocean. But you want to do it in a place where you can retrieve them, too. But it's really getting peculiar. Again, from New Jersey.
By the way, I'm sorry, Chris.
Quite all right.
By the way, did you hear about the guy who launched his drone, his little domestic drone?
I'm not
got
sure.
Up near. Okay, because I missed the first hour of your show. Mm-hmm. He launched just one of those little hobby drones.
Uh-huh.
And he's got 6 hours of battery life, and he got up next to one of the other drones, the swarm, and all of a sudden the battery went dead and it just dropped to the ground.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Was that in New Jersey you heard that story out of?
I believe it was in New Jersey.
And I read from a news story out of New Jersey, politicians saying that when people come out and spot the drones, they go dark. Which is very peculiar.
Yeah.
This whole thing is very peculiar. It's inexplicable.
Yeah.
And our government, once again, is proving to be awful.
Well, gee whiz.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I'm not shocked, I guess, but no longer shocked. I can still be appalled, though, right? Even if I'm not shocked.
Well, of course. Hey, thank you for taking my call.
You bet.
Guys have a good day, and say hi to Jasmine.
By the way,
yes. Anytime I call in and she answers the phone, I ask her, I said, did you support staff, get some G-Defy shoes? I said, you need to talk to Chris about that.
That's true. I don't think we've gotten pairs for everybody, but my best girl and I, we have. That's a lot of fun. Scott, thank you very much. Thanks for the call. Great.
Take care, buddy.
Call. Thank you. That's, because, great Americans and Kansas, the heartland of America. Isn't that great? I lived in KC Mo for all of 6 months or something. All right, let's go to Craig calling from Frederick, Maryland. Oh, Craig, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hello, Chris. love your show. Great to talk to you. First-time caller also.
Welcome.
I wanted to I'm an Air Force veteran. I've owned drones, and I've also worked in general aviation. I just got a comment about something I haven't heard anyone mention about the drones, and that is that in the last couple of years, all drones sold in the United States have to be equipped with a transponder. And the purpose for that is to, allow the FAA, if you're straying your drone into a place you shouldn't be, they can shoot a signal at it or a message, and it'll reply with who's the owner of the drone. And the drone won't actually fly until that registration has been completed, so they know about you. So my only comment would be, and I really like the caller from Kansas that was on there before me, my only comment would be, why aren't they commenting that these drones aren't responding to requests for this, like IFF? In the Air Force, we called it IFF, identification friend or foe.
Right.
But they're not responding to messages or requests for information. And the only two types of situations I can imagine where that would be the case would be either A, it was a government drone that didn't have to comply with that FAA requirement, or B, is a non-U.S. drone that obviously could fly without that requirement. I just wondered what your thoughts were about that.
Fascinating. Now, you say that you're an Air Force man, you're former Air Force now, but you're involved in civil aviation. You're also an owner and operator of a drone or drones, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All right, and have you ever seen a drone the size of an F-150 Ford pickup truck?
Never. And the interesting thing, the guy from Kansas on before me mentioned that when other people try to fly their drones towards these large drones, their systems black out or they lose power. And that's exactly what you would do if you were carrying around something could generate an EMP, right?
Right.
I mean, it could knock out in a small area. So I'm just wondering, too, I mean, why would people be doing it around government facilities, nuclear power plants? Are they EMP generators that just haven't been turned on yet? I don't know.
Right, electromagnetic pulse generators, which you could use if you're near a power station. And again, we were talking to a nice woman, Susan, calling from Charles County in Maryland, and she said that there were 30 drones near her. She and her daughter were out last night watching them in the dark night sky, and that they were near a substation, which is, of course, an electricity substation. And you're now raising the question if these pickup truck-sized, small school bus-sized drones flying in the sky, which that's a mystery all by itself, that they'd be that size. You see them, again, you can pick them up. Your teenager can pick up the normal drone, right? And Susan said that they were hovering near an electrical substation. And you're right, if there's an EMP generator on one of these pickup truck-sized drones, then they could an EMP directing device, then in theory they could short out an electrical substation, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's only two ways to really deliver an EMP. You're probably aware of both of them. One would be something small like a drone that has some kind of electromagnetic, like a big capacitor on it that could discharge. The other would be a nuke.
A nuclear weapon, right, yeah.
Yeah, and obviously a nuke is going to do a lot of damage, even in the upper atmosphere. But a targeted EMP over certain areas of the country could be pretty devastating, I would guess.
Yeah, and shut down the electricity on the East Coast and by hitting a couple of key substations, and maybe reconnaissance is going on. But we have a government that doesn't seem to be up to the task of being the government. Amazing. Ted Koppel, formerly of ABC News and Nightline, wrote a book about the threat of it. Well, he went looking into being a prepper. And he discovered that the electrical grid, certainly on the East Coast, could be shut down more easily than you might think. And it could be shut down for a month or even more before, everything shuts down. Your water doesn't pump to your home anymore. Your bank machine doesn't work. Cash registers don't work there. Your grocery store goes dark. The refrigerators go dark, shutting down the electricity. And Ted Koppel went into it very skeptically and came out of the experience, this lights out idea, that it's something to be very concerned about. If only we had a government that seemed concerned about it, that'd be good. Craig, thank you. Thank you for the call. So with all the smart, decent, good people out there, I don't think it's just, talk radio. But if this were National Panhandler Radio, the conversation would be very different, I suspect. You know that the all-new third-generation Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier has finally arrived, and it builds on the incredible success of the first two generations of the Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier. And the earlier generations earned thousands of five-star reviews and quickly became a bestseller. We've got two of them at home ourselves. This new Thunderstorm uses two different technologies that studies have shown help to kill up to 99.9% of bacteria and viruses, can remove dust, pet dander, smoke, and a whole lot more from the air. The air that you breathe helps get rid of any odor, and no filters to buy and replace over and over again on a schedule. No, sir. You can hold an Eden Pure Thunderstorm in your hand, just like this. The Thunderstorm will get rid of any stinky smell, guaranteed. Odors from trash cans and stinky shoes. Even left-wing protesters are no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. And right now, you can save $200 American on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for a whole home protection. You could put one in your basement, your teenager's room, any place you like to breathe clean, fresh air. Bring one to the office. Make one a gift. Christmas is coming. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com and use the discount code Chris3, Chris and the number 3, to save $200 on 3 Thunderstorms. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Chris and the number 3. Yes, sir. All right, we've got a lot more coming up in addition to the crazy drone story, and it is an absolutely crazy story. Pete Hegseth being smeared among them. There is a Republican congressman from the state of New Jersey by the name of Chris Smith. Chris Smith, the 4th District in New Jersey, and listen to Congressman. He's a Republican. Democrats are shooting down any discussion of the drones, which is very peculiar. Republicans are trying to have a discussion about the drones. Chris Smith.
I talked to several people, including a commander for the Coast Guard, who told me that the night before, I was there last night, so 2 nights ago, one of their 47-foot vessels, boats, was trailed very closely by more than a dozen of these drones. Now that, to me, is very, very not just suspicious, provocative.
And more. And the Democrats will shout you down if you mention it. Why is that? That's extremely peculiar. Might be a national security threat, like the Democrats.